Daggone, boy, you got you a blog?
Retakes, Earthling.
All right. Here we are back again. Welcome to the show, everybody. It is Friday, January 15th, and we've got the divisional games coming up. NFL, super excited. We got our special guest, Isaac Leon, back on the phone. Say what's up to the people, Isaac.
What's up, everyone? Back in San Jose. Reno was a blast, but it's good to be home.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just going to ask you about your trip, man. Not going to harp on this too long, but I heard that you guys had your signal go out in the sports book in the casino. Is that serious? Does that really happen?
That is correct. That really happened. We had a 15-minute period in the Seattle game that the feed went out. A lot of complaining at the sports book, but came back on. But note to yourself, casinos, make sure you pay your cable bills.
Seriously, and I know the weather was bad in Minnesota, but that really shouldn't affect the sports book in Reno. I mean, come on, how weak is your signal? That's disgraceful.
Well, there was a little snow that morning, so there's a little excuse they could use. But other than that, man, that needs to be working all the time.
No excuses.
24/7.
No excuses. So before we pick the games for the weekend, I had a couple people, some listeners, ask about our credentials. Who are these guys to be picking games and giving me advice? Who do these people think they are? So I want to go through a quick little questionnaire so that people can get to know us a little bit and know what we're all about. You cool with that?
I'm cool with that, yep.
Okay. First question. This is important, so I hope you studied. What is your favorite movie? All time.
All time, my favorite movie is Casablanca.
Casablanca?
Casablanca.
You're a classic dude. That's very telling. Mine is actually Rushmore. Bill Murray.
Okay.
What was that, 2000? 1999, 2000? Favorite band, musical band, all time?
Modest Mouse. There's no one that has touched me lyrically than Isaac Brock has. I mean,
Wow.
he says things that I didn't think I was thinking, but he's like made me open my eyes on a few subjects.
Modest Mouse. Okay, mine is Outkast, hands down, Outkast. When is your birthday, month and day?
March 23rd.
And what is your social security and mother's maiden name? I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. People could listen to this and steal our identity like DJ Khaled, and we don't want that.
We the best. You a genius. I appreciate you.
Total joke. So, my birthday is March 18th, so we got that. What was the last...
You in Aries too, or what?
I'm actually a Pisces. I was born...
I guess border.
Border, yeah. I'm born 3 days before spring, so the 21st, obviously the first day of spring. So I just made it in the winter, and I just made it in the Pisces. So,
Gotcha. Okay.
Fun-
You're so weird.
Fun fact. Oh, yeah, I'm super weird. People often say, like, are you serious or are you kidding? And I sometimes don't know myself, so fun fact. What was the last live concert and or event that you attended?
Wow. Last live concert. Actually, the last event I attended was a 49ers game a few weeks ago.
Okay.
The last concert, man. It's just, actually, you know who it was? It was Talib Kweli. The end of the summer in San Francisco was the last one.
Wow, respect. I actually worked with Talib Kweli on a music video a few years back. The Jean Grey and Talib my good friend Stephen Mallet directed that. So that's another fun fact about me. He's one of my favorite artists, hip-hop artists. The last concert, funny you should say that, last concert that I saw was Yasin Bey, formerly known as Mos Def, and those two artists together make up Black Star.
Quali say, everybody act according to the season that they born in. Some in the night, some in the morning.
Yeah.
So I think we're on
One of the best albums, hip-hop albums of all time.
Oh, one of the best. I mean, life-changing, definitely eye-opening. That reminds me of right after high school, before college, that time frame of my life. And lyrically, amazing. Stylistically, I love the duos. You know, Outkast is a duo, Black Star is a duo, and just the aspect of having a conversation on record is something that I really, really enjoy. So
10 years ago we made history, so they miss us.
And don't call it a comeback in particular, even if it blend into ephemera, I fade into peripheral. Transmission of the minister's original will broadcast clear without the minister. Black Star, so top burning, soul temperatures and ministers, alkalines, aminos and minerals,
really enjoy. So moving on to sports. What is your favorite NFL team?
My favorite NFL team is the Indianapolis Colts.
The Colts. Okay. So are you a Andrew Luck fan, or are you kind of frustrated with Andrew Luck right now?
No, I'm an Andrew Luck fan. I mean, he's one of the hardest, toughest quarterbacks in the league. This season, he just got unlucky with his few injuries, and some major injuries like a lacerated kidney and whatnot.
Okay.
But he toughed it out for a few extra weeks. He should have probably been on the bench recovering. But
right.
Yeah, he's a tough man, and I see a bright future for the Colts.
Right on. So I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, and admittedly, I'm fair weather. I don't rock the jerseys. I don't, do foolish things to support the squad when they're low. And people hate that, but you know what? I don't care. It's a family thing. I grew up watching the Cowboys. My family's from Texas. So, whatever. I'm just keeping it real. I'm more or less a fan of good competition. I love the artistry and the grace and the skill required to play sports. That's really what I'm a big fan of. So, I love the NFL. I love the NBA. But I'm not a jersey-wearing fan. So, just to put that out there.
Okay.
What is your favorite NBA team?
The Clippers. Growing up in LA, Clippers were the only tickets that my family could afford. So we would always go with my cousins and whatnot to Clipper games. So our first live sporting events were Clipper games.
Respect.
So, I mean, I've been through some ugly times in the 90s and 2000s, but the last couple of years, there's a bright future for us. So
nice.
Hopefully we get a ring in LA shortly.
I respect that. I've got some good friends that are diehard Clippers fans, and they go through a lot. They get their hearts broken. You've got, a new owner, so I think the future is bright for you guys. I actually took my brother to see a Clippers game a couple years ago. They were playing the Orlando Magic when the Magic had Dwight Howard. So we got to see him up close and personal. Jameer Nelson was on the squad. And our seats were so good, we were sitting right behind Billy Crystal. So not courtside, but right there in the second row. It was amazing.
Wow.
One of the coolest sports experiences of my life. But I am on the other side of Staples Center. I'm a Laker fan. And again, I feel bad admitting this, but I am a fair weather Laker fan. Cowboys, Lakers, who is this guy? But I've been a basketball fan since I could talk. I remember watching a Lakers-Pistons game with my grandpa, and he said, "What team are you rooting for?" And I looked at the TV, and I said, "I like the yellow jerseys. What team is that?" And he said, "That's the Lakers, so you're a Laker fan." And I've been a Laker fan ever since. From the Magic era, through the Nick Van Exel years, through the Kobe years. So if I had to pick one team out of all the sports, it would be the Lakers. But this year, just tank and get the picks. I'm not living and dying by every loss. You know what I'm saying? So I hope you don't mind being on a podcast with a fair weather fan. But hey, it is what it is. At least I'm honest about it.
Exactly.
Now, I'm getting to the end of the list here. Do you have a pet peeve, something that just bothers you to no end? Sports related or not?
Yeah, actually, sports related. My pet peeve is never betting on your own team.
Ooh, good one.
I just feel it's a lose-lose situation. I mean, if you bet for your team and they lose, you lose both ways. But if you bet against your team, it kind of split. Like, do you want to win the money or do you want your team to go on? So I try to avoid picking my sports teams.
Totally. That's a great rule of thumb to have. That's not the first time I've heard that, but you can get yourself into a lot of trouble because you're not really thinking straight. You know, your team could be down at halftime, but you've got so much faith in them, you believe in them, you're willing them to win, that you might not think logically with your dollars. So that's very, very important. The pet peeve that I had thought of was ticking clocks. I hate clocks that tick. It drives me nuts. I feel like it's the sound of a mental institution. Like, oh my gosh, I'll turn off the clocks. I'll take the batteries out. My wife will come home and be like, why do all the clocks say 8:45? Like, it bugs me that much. So did you play sports growing up? And if so, what sports did you play?
Yeah, growing up, I played a lot of sports. Throughout high school, I played basketball, ran track, and played soccer.
Okay.
So, yeah, ever since a young kid, I remember playing my first basketball league probably when I was 4 or 5.
Uh-huh.
Then I started doing traveling league when I was about like 8 or 9. So, yeah, lots of basketball in my life, lots of track and field. I was a high jumper and a hurdler.
Awesome. So you got ups.
Of course.
That's
I did before I gained like 50 pounds after high school. But
And for those that don't know, ups, that's slang for a vertical jump. That's what that means. So me, I played basketball as well. That was a sport that I was most consistent with. I ran track for a few years, starting at age 10. I played soccer, AYSO, all the way up through high school. And then I tried baseball for 1 year because I went to a small private school in 9th grade, and they needed people to play. So it was kind of like whoever wanted to play could play. It wasn't a tryout situation. So I think we both played multiple sports for multiple years. Now, is that enough to qualify you to pick games? Getting back to the original question, why are we qualified to give our opinion on sports? So let's say I'm interviewing you and you have to pitch me and say, I'm qualified because this. What is your knowledge or what is your expertise that you're bringing to this?
Okay. I look at sports a lot differently than most people. To me, sports is a numbers game. It's not about physical ability. It's about one coach calculating what play could be the play of the defense that's going to be given to me.
Okay.
So I see it as a problem. Like
Okay.
Sports is a problem. And to solve the problem, you be able to bet accordingly. So, yeah, that's my background.
Like a mathematical equation with variables that you can plug in, and it's more or less predictable, kind of?
Not more predictable, but I guess when the stats is more on your side, I'll push my small edge, So
Right.
I'll look at each situation. Like, all right, is this quarterback scoring against this secondary? Who has advantage?
Right.
So if my quarterback has advantage, I'll push more points to that side.
Right.
And then you add them all up, and whoever has the most positives, I lean to that pick.
Right. Okay. That makes sense to me. So I'm not as analytical as you are. I'm more of a shoot from the hip, go with your gut type of a person. Some people say that I'm very lucky, that I'm very fortunate. I would argue that I just kind of put myself in a position to win. I'm very aware. I'm very observant. And I feel like kind of what you said, I can look at a situation, analyze, and kind of pick which odds are in my favor. Now, I've been making wagers, legal sports wagers, for the past 7 or 8 years. And I haven't won a lot of money. I haven't lost a lot of money. I've more or less broken even and maybe won a little bit. And that says a lot because, tell me if I'm wrong here, but people who bet a lot of times throughout the year have a tendency to lose a lot of money simply because the odds are not in your favor. The house always wins. Would you agree with that?
Correct, yes.
And I want to kind of tell the people a little bit who might not know how it works, just a quick sports wagering 101. You know, you might think whichever team wins, if you bet on that team, you win money, but it's not really that simple. There are spreads involved, there are lines, there are odds, and there are different types of wagers that you can make. So, for example, if we have, let's use the first game that we're going to analyze as an example. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs playing the New England Patriots. Now, the odds, or the line rather, is New England minus 5 points. So it kind of explained to the people what that minus 5 points means.
So that -5 means that Kansas City is giving 5 points. So if the Patriots win by 5 points or more, they will win that bet.
Okay.
Because as a favorite, Kansas City will get extra points to even out the spread.
Okay, that's a very well put, very succinct explanation. Now, why do the casinos make a spread? Where did that come from? Like, what's the purpose? What's the goal in their mind of why they adjust the spread?
Well, they adjust the line to make it that 50%, like half of the bettors will bet on one side, and half of the bettors will bet on the other side. So
Right.
if you have the equal amount of betting on both sides, the sports book will lose less.
Exactly. And to give another example, so last week when the Seahawks beat the Vikings, the Seahawks were at a 4.5 or a 5 point spread. So in order to cover, they had to win by 5 points or more. So the public, if they want to bet on the Seahawks, they have to bet that they're going to win by 5 points or more for them to win that bet. And obviously, they did not cover. They only won by 1 point. So the average fan of the Seahawks is going nuts. They're going crazy, super excited. We won, and in dramatic fashion. But a majority of the people who bet on the game, I think, bet on the Seahawks, and they did not win that bet.
Yeah.
The Hawks did not cover. And I like what you said about, getting half on one side and half on the other, because you don't just bet $10 to win $10. You have to bet $11 to win $10 most of the time. And the term for that, I believe, is called the VIG, V-I-G. And so the house makes a little percentage just for processing all these wagers. So even if everybody, half the people win, half the people lose, the casino still makes their money. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Correct.
So
It's another term for that is the juice.
the juice.
Juice.
Exactly. So when you watch those movies, like those mob movies, and somebody borrows money and they punch them in the stomach and say the juice is running, that's that percentage. That's that extra.
Exactly.
All right, awesome. So we got a little handicapping 101. So helping the people, the average person who doesn't bet throughout the year, who might want to put in a wager for the Super Bowl, you can have a little better idea of what you're doing. So let's get into the picks. Are you ready?
Oh, yes, I'm ready.
Awesome. So we picked these lines based on Friday morning, 10:30 Pacific, January 15th, 2016. These were the lines posted on Vegas. Now, so we already talked about the Chiefs at the Patriots. The spread is -5. The New England Patriots are the favorite. What is your prediction and why?
All right. Well, I actually like the Chiefs to cover at +5.
Okay.
They won 11 games in a row. The momentum's in their favor right now. If you look at the Patriots, they lost their last 2 games, and they only won 2 of their last 6 games. So right now they're limping into the playoffs, and also with them, they have a lot of injuries right now. Gronk hasn't practiced all week. Edelman is going to play this week. It'll be his first time since having ankle surgery after the game on November 15th.
Okay.
So they talk about how more dynamic the Patriots offense is when he's in the lineup, but he hasn't played in over 2 months, so I don't really know how much effective he could be.
Okay.
What's your take?
So we briefly discussed this game off the air, and I agreed with you. The line has moved, by the way. It was Chiefs +6, and I did like that line at +6. The fact that Kansas City has momentum appealed to me. But now that the line is down to 5, I've changed my mind. This is one of those times where, in my gut, I don't trust the Kansas City Chiefs. I think about the public perception of Alex Smith before this season as a game manager, and not a very good one at that. I think of Andy Reid being an accident waiting to happen, and I think about Bill Belichick being kind of the mastermind of the NFL, and I like to compare the Patriots to the Spurs. Okay? In the NBA, the Spurs are kind of always the sleeper team. And when I say sleeper, I don't mean that they're a dramatic underdog. I mean that they fly under the radar through the season. They rest their players. They're ready to play championship basketball come June. And I feel the Patriots are the same way. So I know that they have injuries. I know that Tom Brady doesn't have his healthy, full complement of weapons. But I feel like they're going to find a way to win this game. You know, they're at home, at Foxborough. And I think when it comes down to it, Tom Brady's going to make a play. If Gronk is healthy enough to run a route, I think that's enough, to be honest with you. Now, are they going to cover the spread? I'm not confident to the point where I'm going to make a big bet, but I might put it with a parlay and do, maybe buy a point, New England to win -4, something like that. So I'm very borderline, and obviously since I'm flip-flopping, I'm kind of undecided, but I'm just going with my gut, and I feel like the Patriots are going to win, and I don't think that Kansas City can hang.
But what about that Chiefs defense, man? 30th scoring defense. In the last 13 games, they only allowed one team to score 20 points or more. This defense is something that we're going to look back on and be like, man, 85 Bears?
Wow.
2015 Chiefs? They're up there, man. They are up there. There's something special about this team.
And you just said something that sparked a saying in my head, and that's defense wins championships. So if the Chiefs have a defense that's only given up 20 points once, so you're making me think here. But the last thing that we saw was them smash Houston 30-0. And so their defense really didn't get a chance to show what they have in the playoffs. And I feel like it could be...
Wait, time out, hold up on this one.
Yeah.
They didn't give a chance. Do you know they were the first team to shut out a team in the playoffs this decade? It's been over 10 years that there's been a shutout.
Really?
And the Chiefs did it.
But against Hoyer, does that really count? I mean, there should be an asterisk there.
Oh, yeah.
First team to do a shutout in 10 years, but it was Hoyer.
And he was throwing up ducks. I'll admit it, he was throwing up ducks.
And where was Hoyer last year this time? What team was he on?
Was he Brown's backup? I don't know. I
believe he was on the Browns. So, when you say that the the Patriots are limping into the playoffs because of their injuries and their poor performance against Miami and the Jets, was it? They lost their last 2 games of the regular season.
Yeah.
Now, I would argue that the Chiefs are limping in because when you have a good victory and you're on a roll and you have momentum and you have confidence, that carries over into the next game. I mean, we did see Aaron Rodgers kind of turn that on its head, and with no momentum, he basically destroyed the Redskins, and that's kind of a different subject. But my point is, we've got an unproven squad, an unproven leader going into a place that's very difficult to win. So if they've got any confidence from that Houston game, I don't think it's really deserved. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
So
and also, Macklin's injury right now, we don't know if he could go. So those are my 2 concerns: Macklin's injury and just Belichick Brady in the playoffs.
exactly.
They just get it done. But
Exactly.
with my heart, of all hearts, I just feel the Chiefs this year.
And we've got Tom Brady with a couple injuries, and I think we both agree that he'll find a way to at least maximize their production. But with Alex Smith, we're like, oh man, if Macklin can't go, he's really in trouble. So that just kind of goes to show the faith that we have in these quarterbacks. So I don't know. Well, for the record, you got the Chiefs +5. I'm taking the Patriots -5. So somebody's gonna have bragging rights next week on that one.
Okay.
All right, so moving on to the next game, we've got the Green Bay Packers playing the Arizona Cardinals. The line is set at -7, so the Cardinals are 7-point favorites. What is your prediction for this game, and what do you see as being the defining factors?
All right, this is my dip of the day. I have the Cardinals winning by 7 points. So I'm going to take them -7. And I also actually think they're going to win by at least 13 points. If you look back to Week 16, the Cardinals and Packers played, and the game was 38-8.
Right.
A total domination. The Cardinals had 9 sacks, 3 by Dwight Freeney.
Right.
I just can't see this injured Packers offensive line protecting Aaron Rodgers this game. So I like the Cardinals in a blowout.
Okay.
What's your thought?
I'm going to agree with you on this one. I like how you said the dip of the day. So that's basically our version of the best bet. You know, we're both super confident on this one. So anybody that's looking for a quote-unquote sure thing, I think this is the closest thing to that for this weekend. The Cardinals, I feel like they've been outperforming in pretty much every game. If you look at the names of the stars on their team, these are not people that made anybody's top 10 or top 5 lists last year, except maybe Larry Fitzgerald was on some people's top 10 as far as receivers, but he's not even the deciding factor. I mean, their weapons on the receiving end are pretty much what Pittsburgh has, but they're healthy, and their running game, Johnson, he's been outperforming. And I think this is a situation where an early season injury, talking about Ellington going down, helped them. It built their confidence, showing like, look, we can win with this other guy too. And if Ellington comes back, that's just a bonus. And again, Aaron Rodgers, they did win last week, but they were playing against a competition that was not up to snuff. I mean, the NFC East, really? You know what I mean? They could have just as easily been playing Philadelphia or the Giants, and I feel like the results would have been very similar. Exactly. Yeah, I didn't want to throw it out there, but yeah. So to look at what the Packers have done this season and look who they beat wild card weekend, I think running away it's obvious. And I like your prediction of a 13-point victory. So, some places you can place adjusted spreads, or you can kind of put yourself in a position where you can get paid more if they win by more. And this is a time where I would encourage you to take that bet. Cardinals, baby. All right.
Especially with that defense, the Peterson lockdown corner. I don't see Packers putting up that many points. It's going to be a tough day in Arizona.
Do you see Aaron Rodgers embarrassing himself?
I think so. I mean, it'll be like the same as his first game against the Cardinals this year.
Right.
9 sacks, man.
Ouch.
Brutal.
Yeah, well, he'll have several months to heal from that because he's probably going to be going fishing after this weekend. So I'm not going to feel too bad for him.
He has Olivia Munn. So.
Exactly. Didn't we see them at the Staples Center?
What'd you say?
Didn't we see them at the Staples Center when we went for the Wisconsin game?
We did.
Yeah,
we did.
She's a lovely looking young lady. He done well for himself.
Yeah, he's winning in off season. Let's just say that.
He's winning at life. Relax. Right on. Okay, so moving on. The next game we have Seattle Seahawks playing the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. We've got the Carolina Panthers favorite, but only by 1.5 points. So this line strikes me as being a little low, a little odd. But I want to hear your thoughts about how this game is going to go.
Well, I actually like Seahawks to cover 1.5. I actually have them winning this game. I just feel that experience plays a big role in the playoffs.
Okay.
And what the Seahawks have been doing the last 4 years has been amazing. So I see them going into Carolina, a road game, and Russell Wilson having one of his biggest games of the playoff history following one of his worst games ever. And last week, because of the cold in Minnesota, I don't think we saw the full potential of the Seahawks offense.
Okay. So that's your pick, huh?
And yes, I like the Seahawks.
You going with Seattle, huh?
Going with Seattle.
You like Russell Wilson, huh?
Yeah.
What about Cam? What about Superman? I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this one. I'm gonna have to disagree with you.
Okay.
And before the playoffs started, I think everybody was surprised that the sixth seeds seemed to be so dangerous. You know, Pittsburgh in the AFC and Seattle in the NFC. And I was on that bandwagon of thinking that Seattle has the experience. They've got that cohesive roster that's been together, that's proven, that's won. But what Cam has done this year has been incredible to watch. And even though they didn't get the perfect season, the 16-0, I think it might even be a little bit of a benefit to them that they got to kind of relax, exhale, and get that hype out of the way. Now, Cam is a freak of nature. Russell Wilson is a wizard, you know, inside and outside the pocket. He makes escapes. He makes moves with his feet that no one has seen. But Cam can do that, I feel like, and more because of his size, his athleticism. And a stat that I just heard is that Cam has thrown 0 interceptions in the red zone this year. And we both know that Russell Wilson threw a very critical he threw a very critical I did. He lost the Super Bowl at the goal line last year, people, in case you didn't see it. But I feel there's something has a destiny feel to it this year with Carolina. And I made a joke to you, you know, the other day about Seattle having the 12th man, their home field advantage, and then having the 13th man with, you know, the man upstairs kind of helping them, having that field goal miss. And they shouldn't even be here right now. Seattle should not even be here right now. So I feel like kind of how last year went, they kind of got some help in the NFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl and then fell crashing back to earth. That's what I see happening here. They shouldn't have been here to begin with. Cam's going to shut them down. And I like the Panthers to cover that measly little 1.5 points. He's the MVP. He's the MVP. Enough said.
That defense is going to pressure them all game. And when you ever come close to dying, you look at life differently. And I feel that the Seahawks will look at this game differently. Say they were winning 10 points the whole game, and they won. I just felt that second chance gives you a bigger drive to go ahead and win it all. So, I really like the Seahawks. And do you remember Week 6? Who won that game between Seahawks and Panthers?
Was it in Seattle? I thought Carolina won in Seattle.
They did. The score was 27-23, but the start of the fourth quarter, Seahawks were up 23-14, up 9 points with less than 12 minutes to go, and they lost the lead. I don't think Pete Carroll's going to let his team lose in the fourth quarter again.
Right. To lose the same way to the same team would be beyond heartbreaking. Now, what you said about, kind of coming back to life and getting a second chance, you look at life differently. I agree, but you're grateful for things off the field. It makes you take a deep breath and smell the roses. I think that they may not be super focused on football right now. I mean, that's such an intense thing to come back from. I don't know. And what you just said, the fact that the Panthers came back, overcame a 9-point loss in Seattle on the road against the 12th man to a victory, that I think says more about what Carolina is going to be able to do at home versus what Seattle's not going to let happen again, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be the most competitive game of the weekend. I said before that I would probably stay away from this game. Gun to my head. Mm-hmm. You got to pick a squad. I'm going with Carolina, but I don't think there's a really smart bet here. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I want to stay away from this game. I think it's one turnover or one big play changes everything.
Right.
So I don't think one team's going to dominate. It's going to be, whoever digs down and finds that one play to change the game.
And would you agree that sometimes the smartest bet to make is to not make a bet at all?
I would agree with that.
I don't know why I can't even follow my own advice on that, so I'm just going to go ahead and bet on the Panthers right now.
I know you will.
The word of the day is compulsive. Just kidding. So, okay, the final game of the weekend, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are favored by 7 points. That's a touchdown. Now, this is an interesting game because of the injuries. I want to get your take on, first of all, who's going to win, and then what is the biggest injury, the biggest game changer that we know of right now.
Okay. So, looking at this game maybe 3 weeks ago, I was looking at the playoff bracket and seeing what could happen. And I would really like Steelers going to Denver and beating the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
That was before Antonio Brown is ruled out with a concussion, and it looks like Big Ben has a shoulder injury.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know the strength of his arm, how far he can throw it down the field. So I'm going to have to pick the Broncos on this game. It's crazy how in 3 weeks things could change so drastically due to injuries. But, yeah, Broncos -7.
I'm on this bandwagon with you, and at first I like Pittsburgh. They say he's got a concussion. You remember that day that he had that celebration where he jumped on the goalpost and it looked like he smashed his jewels? That was crazy. So maybe he's got a concussion from that. I don't know. That was nuts. Literally nuts.
Yeah, literally.
Now, we need to back up real quick and kind of talk about how the Steelers got here. Because they beat the Bengals in the most controversial game of Wild Card Weekend. And I want to get your thoughts on this game, because a lot of people were talking about the penalties and why the Steelers were in position to win this game in the first place. And there's a rivalry going on here between the Steelers and the Bengals. So what was your take on that game before we get into this one?
I just think the game got out of hand after the Steelers knocked out the running back, Bernard. Giovanni Bernard.
Okay.
To the Bengals. And then they went on the sideline and started mocking how they knocked them out. The fans saw that, and there's a lot of boos and stuff, and the game got out of hand. Big hits from both teams, some a little dirty, but I think the refs lost this game.
Okay.
It's a shame that such a competitive game got out of control in the fourth quarter like that.
So the refs lost control of the game, and so should they have called more penalties earlier in the game? Should they have talked to the coaches? What do you see in retrospect that they should have done differently to get it under control?
Probably talk to the coaches, warn the players that any helmet hits will get you kicked out right away. Anything close to being illegal, you're going to get kicked out of the game.
Okay.
It just got out of hand too quick.
Now,
but the reason the Bengals lost was because of a fumble. Let's be real.
Yeah.
They intercepted the backup quarterback for the Steelers after Big Ben got knocked out.
Right.
Perfect intercepted it and ran straight to the locker room, basically saying, "We won. Let's get out of here." The very next play, Jeremy Hill, trying to fight for extra yards, loses the ball and gives the ball away to the Steelers. I mean,
he coughed it up.
Steelers had one of the worst turnovers in playoff history with that interception. And the very next play, there was a worst turnover
right.
in playoff history. So, yeah, I feel bad for Bengals, man.
You know, it's funny that interception, the turnovers really kind of get lost in the remembrance of this game, because what everybody remembers is the big hit, you know, Vontaze Burfict's behavior, the extracurriculars. And I saw one of my friends on Facebook say that, you know, it was one of the most ugliest games and the NFL should be ashamed that it got out of hand the way that it did, and that basically the players are paid to be professionals, to conduct themselves in a certain manner. And while I understand that point of view, I disagree with it on a few points. And I wanted to bring this up. I think that athletes, they get paid a large sum of money because they do amazing things on the field. They win games is what their primary purpose is. And then the league is allowed to use their likeness, their image, their personality, good or bad, to sell the product. So when people get on players' behavior, I don't really like that, and I'm kind of quick to jump to their defense, kind of like, you know, how Allen Iverson was demonized for his off-the-court behavior, but he did amazing things on the court. Now, this situation is a little different because one would argue that his behavior contributed to them losing the game on the field. But as you said, without those turnovers, they wouldn't have been in the position to not possess the ball, to lose the yards, to kick the field goal. You know what I'm saying? So, but the Steelers, I think the better team won. That's my opinion. How they won is a matter of discussion. But yeah, without Antonio Brown, with Big Ben not at 100%, even if Peyton's not at 100%, I feel like the combination of Peyton and that Denver defense I believe that they will win, and I think that they will cover. I don't know if that's a popular opinion. I'd be very curious to see how many people are betting that way. I guess we'll know if the line moves.
Yeah, I anticipate this line moving probably to 9 or 10 by the end of this weekend.
Wow.
I mean, Denver's at home. The home field advantage, it's a mile high. It's tough to play there, man. Teams get out of breath because they're not used to that high altitude. You're going against the defense that led the league with 52 sacks and gave up the fewest yards per opponent. So
Right.
I really like the Broncos in this game.
Now, from a betting standpoint, home field advantage is more or less worth 3 points. Is that correct?
Correct. But I would say in Denver it's a little bit different just because of altitude.
Right.
Maybe 3.5 points.
Right. So some home field advantages are worth more than others. And I agree that Denver, they have the altitude, so players get out of breath quicker. They are notoriously loud. It might be hard to hear, the play calling and whatnot. And if Ben is as hurt badly as we think, they're going to have to adjust their plan of attack. So you can't just kind of coast and do your normal scripted routine. They're going to have to do a lot of short passes, a lot of dump off, a lot of running game. And how's their running back? How's D'Angelo Brown? Is he healthy?
D'Angelo Williams looks like he's going to be out another week. So
Williams.
Fitzgerald, Toussaint, is that where we're going with?
Yeah. Wow. Interesting stuff. Okay. So that was a great breakdown, some great insight, some analysis. I think that we gave the people some stuff to work with. Hopefully they'll make smart decisions this weekend. So just quick recap. You have the Chiefs +5. You've got the Cardinals -7. Seahawks +1.5. And then the Broncos -7.
Correct.
So I disagree with you. I think the Patriots are gonna cover that. We are definitely agreement on the Cardinals. That's the best bet. That's the dip of the week. I like that. I hope that sticks. Seattle, I don't agree. I think Panthers are gonna win that one, and then the Broncos, I agree. So we're split right down the middle. Definitely give some good content next week where we can break these down and hopefully count our money.
Yeah. Also, let's do a little side bet on the Seahawks game.
Okay. What are you
down
thinking?
for a little side bet?
I'm down. I'm always down.
Okay. So let's do whoever loses
Okay.
has to do something embarrassing. I don't know what it is yet, but we could come up with that or have our fans bring something for us.
Something
Yeah,
embarrassing
let's do that on this
like.
one.
Oh, okay. So, well, now let's set the terms here. So, is this including the spread, or this is just a money line wager?
Let's go money line.
Let's go money line. Okay, so Panthers win, you're doing something embarrassing, and if the Seahawks win, I'm doing something embarrassing.
Correct.
Now, I think that we should have to agree on what the act is before kickoff. Is that fair?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
So we'll post this. We'll get some feedback. We'll find out what the embarrassing act is, and then we'll shake on it.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Awesome sauce. What do you? Any plans for the weekend aside from watching football?
Nah, just football weekend.
I love it.
My next 3 weeks are booked with football.
I love it. My favorite time of year. Basketball's going. Football's going. It's cold outside. Beautiful thing. All right, buddy. Well, great talking with you. Thanks for calling in. We'll catch up with you next week. And be safe. Have a good one.
All right, man.
All right, peace.
Peace.
Talk is cheap, motherfucker.